there, Slot Car Land. How's everybody doing this fine Sunday afternoon or morning, whenever you're watching this? This will be up at about 7:30, so depending on whatever time you're watching it. First off, I want to apologize for last week and this video not being last weekend, but we and my wife had a very busy weekend last week. Planning and going off with our 25th wedding anniversary party and everything we had, and we had a great time. Somehow everything kind of jumbled up, and I said, I'm not going to worry about it for right now. So I'm glad we're back. So we're going to be doing the video that I promised last weekend. We're going to be taking a deep dive into this whole family, the Lifelike and its predecessors. I've been doing a lot of research this week. I'm actually better prepared for this video now than I was last week, so it's even a good thing that I pushed this off to this week. So, but there's at least 7 companies in this family, starting from the very first company to the Lifelike, which is the very last one we know, and it is currently owned by, all the rights and stuff are currently held by Hardin Creek Slot Cars. But there's a bunch of other history in here. I have found some really cool stuff on eBay and some really cool pictures and all kinds of stuff about this whole family of cars. So let me start off by stating there's seven different companies here. Cox Hobbies, Fast, which I'm not really sure what they are. I have seen some of their package stuff, but I never saw what the chassis looked like. But I do have pictures of the chassis itself without a body on it. Of course, Amrec, we all know. Galoob, which I have figured out where that fits into this whole story. Rocar, Darda, and its history and where it may fit in. And I've got a probably good idea of how it switched from Darda to Lifelike, which is the very last main company, and now of course that's all owned by Hardin Creek, Hardin Creek Slot Cars. So let's get this started. This whole story starts in the mid 1960s when the Cox Hobby Corp, who are best known for their gas-powered airplane or radio-controlled gas-powered airplanes and their RC gas-powered cars, and you can see right there's the symbol Cox Hobbies. Now I've done a little bit of research, and in about 1965 they decided to get into the slot car business on the large scale end, the 32nd scale and 24 scale cars, about 1964-1965. So they kind of do that for a while, and then probably after Aurora brings out the G Plus cars, I think they thought that, well, maybe we need to get into the HO game, and they come out with their own chassis, which is very similar to this chassis right here. This happens to be an Amrec car, which this is the KM1 chassis. So here's a little picture tutorial. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to describe things as we go here in this picture tutorial. There's pictures of, and this is going to be in the order that I think the companies are in. So why don't you take a look at this, and when we come back we'll discuss this a little more. Here is the family. We've got Cox, I believe this is a prototype. Then we've got the next chassis. Then we've got the Fast chassis, followed by this one. This is the one that doesn't have a name on it, which could be a Rocar. Then we've got Amrec, and then we've got the Galoob chassis. So that's the family. Alright, you guys can see the order in which I put those pictures, and I went over it over the timeline there. I did the voiceover on that. Oh, excuse me. So I believe Fast was the second company to own it. I'm not sure time frame wise or what. Right now we're dealing between, I believe, 1975 to 78 with Cox. Fast has a very short time period in there. Then there's Amrec, who takes over probably anywhere between 79 to about 82, 83. So early 80s. Now, I'm going to show you guys a set I found on eBay. If I had $149, I'd be picking this set up. This I believe is the fourth company in line. This set, according to Hardin Creek Slot Cars and everything I've seen about this set came out in 1985. So here's a picture of it. So here's that really cool Miami Vice Gloob set. Really, really cool. As you can see, these are the KM1, KM2 cars, just like the MREX. There's that Ferrari, and then the other car, and then here's the actual listing on eBay. You guys can see in that set is a really funky looking, probably a Stutz, I think it is, that white car, and then one of these. Now this is actually a lifelike version, but of the 365 GTB 4Cam. Now this body was probably made for that specific set, so this body you can go back to all the way back to the Gloob days, and those are the same people that did Micro Machines, and they also have the little 187 scale slot cars as well. So it's all the same company, which is really interesting. Really, really interesting. So next in line, I believe, is when Rollcore comes into the picture. So probably, I don't think Gloob owned it very long, and Rollcore comes in and buys it probably 86, 87-ish, right around there. And then I do have a picture right here proving that this chassis, which is probably this one, which is a KM2 chassis, also made it into the Rollcore days. So let's take a picture. We'll take a look at that pic. Pictures of the Cox. There's two different versions. Probably the first one you saw was a prototype, and I bet you $50 if you look at that body on that car, it's one of these Porsches. So this Porsche goes all the way back to the very beginning of this whole journey. And they don't see a lot of these in lifelike, which is really weird. The last cars I've seen these on are Rollcore cars. So I don't know if these made it into a lifelike at all. So that's kind of an interesting thing to see. I think the red one, the really funky painted red one, might be a lifelike version. But, so you can find it with Cox, which looks exactly like this, but has the Cox name on the bottom of it. You'll find it with Fast on the bottom of it in the same spot. They're all in the same spot, right in front of the ring gear and the pinion there on the chassis. You'll find Gloob, you'll find Rollcore, and you'll find a blank chassis. Now, I'm not really sure where that is. That could be the Rollcore cars. I don't have any proof of a Rollcore car with this car with the name of Rollcore on the bottom of it. So the blank chassis could possibly be the Rollcore cars. Possibly. So, now that we're done with this bad boy, and the order that they're in. So the order of this, up to this point, is Cox, I believe, Cox, Fast, Amrec, Gloob, Rollcore. That's how many companies produced a chassis identical to this. Right down to the fairing pieces off of the motor magnet and the whole nine. So that's a long span. We're looking from about probably 1970, like I said, 75, 76, all the way into the 80s is how long this chassis was produced between those companies. So, as you know, Rollcore was the first company to have the M chassis. So we're on to our second chassis. Now there is variants of this chassis. There's the Fast Tracker. There's the one that's got the twisted armature in it, which I believe that's a Fast Track. But the first company to sell these is Amrec. They are the first company to come out with the M chassis. And of course, there's varying bodies on it, and going all the way through. There's the Corvette, which I have somewhere around here. What did I do with it? Is it up here? Actually, I think Shaden has that car. So there's the Corvettes, and there's the Mustangs. There's some Thunderbirds in there, and all kinds of other bodies and whatnot. But our Rollcore is the first to come out with it, and as you can see, if I can get it to focus, it does say M chassis on it, and then it says Rollcore right down below that in between the two slash lines right there. So they're the first company to come out with the M chassis, the first chassis in this whole family since the KM1 and KM2 cars. So it was a long span before any of these companies finally came out with a new chassis in this whole line of things. So Rollcore, I believe, lasts until probably from about probably 86 to 87, maybe 89-ish time frame. Now we know by the 1990s that Lifelike owns the rights to this chassis. And if you look at this right here, I believe this is probably right around that time frame, the truck series cars, because these are about 95, 96 Silverados. So by 96, Lifelike, sorry guys, healthy, sorry about that, people. So by 96, Lifelike owns it. But there's another company wedged in here in between Rollcore and Lifelike, and that is Darda. And this is a very interesting company. I did a little bit of research on them and all kinds of stuff, and I think I know how Lifelike ended up with the slot car sides of things. So Darda is originally a company from the 1970s from Germany that produces really, really fast wind-up style motor cars. They're a pullback. They're not a key wind, but they're a pullback wind car that are supposedly really, really fast. They made tracks for them, the whole nine. There's all different kinds of cars and all kinds of stuff. I believe they decided to jump into the slot car game and ended up purchasing Rollcore and started selling cars under the Darda name. So I've got two pictures for you right now. So let's take a look at this and I'll describe them as I'm showing them to you guys. Okay, so here is that Darda set. And as you can see, it's very colorful, very oriented for kids. There's the cars. As you can see, these are M chassis as well. There's the build sheet. Here's the actual eBay listing. And then here's the Darda car that Stan has in the package. So as you can see, really bright. You can really tell that these sets were made for kids. The bright colors, the whole shebang. The package car you see, that is courtesy of Stan. He actually has that car in the package. Now, if you notice in the set, the same car is in that Darda set as well, along with one of the Corvettes. And you also see the underside, and they are M chassis. So they're the next company in the line, in this family line, to own the rights to all of this stuff, and it goes to Darda. Now I'm going to show you guys another picture. This is from 2006. This is a 2-pack from Darda that are the pullback cars. But take a look at the back side of the packaging and look at the name at the very bottom, who now owns this. As you can see on the very bottom of those pullback car packages, it says Darda on the front side, just like it does on the slot car stuff. And these are, I'll look at the copyright date. If you look at the copyright date on the back of that package, it's 2006. But you look at the very bottom down there, the company that's selling these is Werther's. The same company that owns Lifelike. So I think Werther's bought this Darda stuff from bought the Darda stuff, brought it into their fold, started selling the pullback cars, and then turned around and thought, well, hey, let's take the slot car stuff and give it to the train guys at Lifelike and have them sell it under the Lifelike name, thinking it better fit with the train stuff than it did with these pullback cars. So it's a really cool history. I think that's where Lifelike ended up picking this all up, was because they bought the Darda company somewhere along the line. Werther's bought the Darda company, and then they also had Lifelike in the mix, and they decided to move the slot car stuff from Darda over to Lifelike, and that's when we started getting these in the packages like this. And that is, like I said, this one's 1996, so early to mid 90s I think is when all of this happened. So it's really, really cool. It's kind of neat. I never really figured out where Darda came from until I saw those pullback cars, and I turned it around and saw that Werther's name on the back of it, because I know that's who also owned Lifelike. So I bet you that's what happened when they brought Darda into the Werther's family. They already had Lifelike. They thought the slot cars fit better on the train side under the Lifelike name rather than it did under the Darda name. And then they changed around and made it Lifelike. And then, of course, then they got all the NASCAR licensing and all that kind of stuff, and started coming out with all the NASCAR cars and all that kind of stuff, and the NASCAR sets and all that nine. So really interesting lifeline and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, those Darda sets are just bright and colorful as hell. If I had the $300, I'd pick that set up just merely to have it and that Gloop set together, to have this whole family and get a little more background on this kind of stuff. And also, if you look at those two tracks and look at all of the connections to those tracks are exactly the same, and it's just like the Lifelike track. That's how Lifelike track fits together. So it's all the same, from Cox to Fast to Amrec to Galoob to Rocor to Darda to Lifelike. And that is the entire family of cars. And it's kind of amazing to see that this car goes back all the way to the beginning of this whole story in the 1970s. Which, you know, it's a 911. 911s go way back. And that yellow body on that one Cox chassis, if you turn it upside down, it looks just like that. I mean, the back looks like that, and the front looks like that. That's got to be a Porsche. So, they've come out with some really cool bodies over the years. Of course, my favorite's the Porsche and the Datsun. This is a pretty cool car. This also goes back to the Cox days as well, because Cox actually made a 32nd scale slot car with this body on it. And I saw pictures of it on the internet today too. So this also goes back to the Cox days, and then made it in. This is actually a Rocor. This is off of the KM2 chassis, which we did the review of. Which I'm not really sure when Amrec went from the KM1 to the KM2, and I'm not really sure what the differences are between them. It might have different motor magnets. It may have some different gearing. Not entirely sure, because as you can see, there is absolutely nothing on the back of this car. So none of this stuff has dates on it, which would really help. But the deep dive I did yesterday and today, while I was at work, I had a lot of time at work today and was doing some deep dives and found all this stuff on eBay. And it's really cool, this whole family. This is probably the most complicated slot car family in the genre. Tyco's pretty easy to figure out. I mean, its timeline is fairly fits under the Mattel days. Of course, Aurora's fairly fluid. We know pretty much all of its history. Lifelike's probably the next biggest slot car company in my mind. It goes Aurora, Tyco, Lifelike, and then all the rest behind that. So, really cool story, really neat. I may try and get as many of these chassis with the different names on the bottom of them as I can. It's going to be a little hard. I only have 3 of these. I have 2 complete cars, and I have a 3rd chassis, but it is also an Amrec car. So it would be really cool to be able to buy those 2 sets on eBay right now, but you can just see it's astronomical. And I was just insanely how much these cars have gone up in this packaging. It's crazy that you can't get this car for less than $200 right now, unless you peruse eBay a little bit deeper. But that's the Lifelike and its predecessors family. I hope this kind of clears up a little bit more. But they are all related. They're different companies, but they're all within the same family, and they're all interconnected in some form or fashion. So it's very, very cool. So don't forget, we're coming up on racing season, everybody. September 20th, we will be in Seattle. Not Seattle, we'll be in Troutdale for round 4 of the Hopac season. We're going to make every race in Hopac from here on out, folks. We got 3 more to run. We're going to hit everyone. We'll be in Troutdale in September. We'll be in... We'll be over in the Seattle area in October, and then in November we'll be back down at Andre's to finish off the season once again at Andre's beautiful house and his beautiful racetrack down there. So, very, very cool. The next weekend after that, on the next Sunday, we open up the Central Washington Championship Series right here at my racetrack. opening the season up with the Auto World X-Traction cars and the M chassis cars, lifelike Rollcore, or if you have a Darda, you can run a Darda if you have one. So, very, very cool. Going to be running those. And then, of course, we'll have a promoter's choice. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be. But great times are coming. Racing season's coming. I'm hoping to do some more of these deep dive videos on history and whatnot. I'll do some more research and everything. If you guys have a topic you guys would like me to kind of try and do a deep dive on, let me know. So we can get some of these histories. And so some of this stuff's kind of hard to find, but if I know names and stuff, I can Google them. That's how I found all this information of today and yesterday, was with actually Friday and Thursday, Friday, with all of this stuff and this whole family here just digging in and all kinds of cool stuff. So really, 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 really fun. So be on the lookout. Next week we're going to be doing a bi-weekly featured car. The next weekend after that, there won't be any videos well, no, there might be a video Labor Day weekend. There might not be a walk around that Monday on Labor Day itself, but there may be. We're going camping that weekend, but I'm going to try and get videos done before we leave. So, definitely look for a bi-weekly next weekend. And then the weekend after that, might be Labor Day weekend, I'm not sure. But on Labor Day weekend, we'll be coming up with something. I'm not sure what we'll do. We may be doing some comparisons. I've been meaning to do some like Bulldog and Super 7 comparisons and kind of stuff, so we might be doing one of those. And then, of course, racing season's coming and everything else. If you need to know the schedule, go check out Central HO Slot Car Race, Central Washington HO Slot Car Racers on Facebook. Schedule's posted there. It will also be posted in the community page here on the YouTube channel, so go check it out there as well. And hope you guys, if you're in the Pacific Northwest and have a chance to come race with us, you're more than welcome to come hang out and race some slot cars with us and participate in this year's Central Washington Championship Series. There's championships in every class. There's an overall champ. We're running a rookie championship this year, an AM championship this year in all classes and overall. So lots of fun. Bring the kids, have fun, race some slot cars with us and get to know everybody, and maybe you can make a kind of semi-regular basis. So have a great week. Remember to keep that pin in the slot, to keep them wheels on the downside. Keep racing slot cars. Don't forget to visit all the other social media we do here at Slot Car Crazy, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook group, slotcarcrazy.com, or the merch shop. Go check it all out. Help the channel out and pick up some merch and help out the channel and watch the videos and support us that way as well. And if you're watching lives coming up, please, if you feel free to send us a super chat, that helps out a lot too on the lives. It helps us to bring you more live content with more live racing and our live idler gear hours and our talks and all that kind of stuff. So hope you guys can do that as well. And we'll catch you guys next week with some more content. I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.